Hello there! I have to clarify 3 things before we can start today. First, Christianity is not the opposite of Islam. Reason is the opposite of all religion. I am Team Reason, I'm not Team Christianity. Please spare me in the comment section but Christianity did this and the Crusades and all this stuff. I agree with you, I don't like them all too much. By the way, is there a religion I like? Yeah, Taoism and Shinto. Mostly because they don't kill people. Secondly, how do people who have actually anxieties react to those fears? Do they take a deep look or do they look away? It's looking away, isn't it? Think snakes, think spiders and so on. For me it's heights. I don't like heights and I don't look down. And it's a normal reaction. Looking away is a normal reaction. Please keep this in mind if you have this strong desire to shut down this video. And it might come if you're a lefty. I know I was one of you. The urge to shut something down that may destroy your point of view is strong and it's natural, but it would prove my point that I will make afterwards. Thirdly, whenever I say science, I mean STEM. Let's go on to my claims that those who scream Islamophobia are either Islamophobics themselves or acting based on Tahir. Let's break this down, shall we? A phobia is an extreme or irrational fear or aversion of something. That's 2 parts, extreme and irrational. Both are to a degree clinical, but let's ignore the extreme part and go with the irrational part. Because this is what the left normally uses. Islamophobia is a fear, not an anxiety. For my taste, the English definition is a bit imprecise, and since most of you know the German word Angst, I would like to go with Angst and Furcht. Furcht is the kind of fear you feel when something that you can perceive threatens you, or you think it might threaten you in the near future, let's say. Standing face to face to a hungry lion may invoke Furcht. Angst, on the other hand, can be, but don't has to be decoupled from reality. If you're sitting in a passenger plane and you have this strong feeling you could get eaten by a lion in the next 2 minutes, that's irrational, that's this kind of angst. So this is phobia, when people have angst because of quite silly reasons, but there is nothing to fear there. And this is what normally the leftists tell us non-stop. There is nothing to fear, get over it. I mean, it's not that this ideology we're talking about killed something between 200 and 300 million people over its existence. Perhaps more. And we're not talking about terror. Well, in a sense, but not all. And it's not all about war. You see, Islam is quite famous for its slave culture. Slavery is an essential part of this culture, and it is no wonder that this is part of this culture to this very day. But don't listen to me, listen to an imam whose name I can't pronounce correctly, about the abolishment of slavery. Abolishment of slavery is not only illegal because it is contrary to the teaching of the fundamental texts of Islamic law, the Quran. The abolition also amounts to expectation for Muslims to their goods that were acquired legally, under Islamic law of course. The state, if it is Islamic, does not have the right to seize my house, my wife, or my slave. You see, when you keep on and hold on Quran, you can't abolish slavery. It's not possible. Slave was always part of this culture as it was in ours. It was part in every culture that started to build towns. We abolished it. Europe a bit sooner, America a bit later. But still it's gone in the West. Islam did not go this way. And I mean real slavery, not but I have to work a job that I don't like because I need the money, I'm such a slave. Slavery, I mean, I kill you because I can do it, because I own you, slavery. And that's different. So, whom did they enslave? Well, more or less everybody who they got a hold on. And the most easiest target were Africans. So, they got a lot of their slaves in Africa in the past. Not African Muslims, of course, pagans and Christians. The notion that the blacks that were shipped over to America were Muslims in the first place before they were shipped to America is kind of silly, since the Europeans bought the slaves from the Arabs. But this is just a side. Well, so why don't they have not a lot of black folk in the Middle East when they have so much slaveries, you might ask? Yeah, well, they castrated the guys and killed the children of the female sex slaves. Having furcht of a culture that practices slavery to this very day, a culture that kills everywhere it is present, is a phobia in the head of those who decided not to take a look at that. And I know how it works, I was one of them. Then I met a Salafist. Before that, I also did know a lot of Muslims, and they were quite Western and quite modern and didn't care much about religion and stuff. So I never gave it a much thought. I thought, okay, they're like Christians and who cares? Then I met this Salafist and we had hours of talk. Then I decided, after a lot of these talks, it might be a good idea to read the Quran again, this time in a bit more depth. Then I went into history, a lot of Muslim history, which I didn't know, and at least didn't know in this detail. Then I went into this philosophy, and around the time when I arrived at the teaching of Al-Ghazali, which is the dude who laid the groundwork for outlawing mathematics in the Islamic world, I understood what the problem was. To this time, I was not, let's say, exact friendly to Islam. I was indifferent. I was even more hostile to Christianity than to Islam. So, well, this changed a bit. So what does leftists do? Well, in essence, they remain ignorant. But if you have listened to me before, ignorance is not the worst part, from my point of view. The narration of the leftists goes something like this. Yes, Islam may have some problems. Yes, they have some problems. But in essence, it's just Christianity, and they will reform, and they will be nice. Just give them time, and we help them, and blah, 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 blah. I guess you know these alchemy mobile games where you combine water and fire, and you get wind or something like that. They believe they can do the same thing with Islam, combining Islam with Western ideology, and something that is more evolved than both will come out. Well, won't happen. The thing is, whenever you tried to combine Islam in all history, resulted in Islam and blood. Buddhism, Christianity, paganism, you name it. It never went well. The left arguments that those rich guys, these rich Muslims, also get decadent and they don't care about the teachings, it's just not true. They hold on this identity even if they are drunk like skunks. If confronted, leftists tend to argue that since the fundamentalistic tendencies are indeed a problem, we would have to wait till they change or bring them over and change them, and so on and so on. And here we have the leftist Islamophobia. They know that they can't coexist with the fundamentalists. They need Islam to change. And if it does change, if it doesn't become tame, all their ideas, no ideas of them could ever work. You see, the leftist Islamophobia is deeply rooted. First in not understanding, because we fear what we don't understand. There are not a lot of leftists who read the Quran. I never met one, and I'm sure there are some, somewhere. I guess I will could find some in an Arab prison. Whenever confronted with the facts such as how the gays are treated in Islamic states, or does Islamic states have no minorities to speak of because they pressure them into Islam or kill them, leftists look away. What does people do who fear snakes when you confront them with a snake? They don't give it a stern look, they turn their head, they look away. That's natural, that's normal, I understand why they do it, but you have to understand that they do it. They don't want to be confronted with the truth because they fear the truth. And don't get me wrong, there is right-wing hate against Islam because they are different and they are others and they are wrong and blah 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 blah, and they think it isn't less stupid. You have to understand the stuff you criticize, and Islam is particularly easy to understand because they don't interpret their book. Not my words. Ask some imam and he will, if he interprets the Quran, and he will give you a stern look and will tell you that he follows the Quran. And that's a big difference. It's a major difference between Islam and Christianity. So all you would have to do to understand this is read the book. And then accept that this book says there is No place whatsoever for anything besides Islam, for anything beside the Quran. Not even mathematics. Al-Ghazali pointed this out. And they don't care that you think this is kind of strange, because what has mathematics to do with a culture or with religion? I don't understand, and they don't care. Then accept that this was tried. Buddhists tried to coexist with Islam, and this didn't go all too well in Indonesia or Afghanistan. Christians tried this too, and it didn't go all too well in North Africa, Spain, or the Balkans. And they don't care that you don't know that. Then accept that Islam is not just a religion. It's a law, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle. Islam sees itself as all of this. And the vast majority of Muslims agree, and they don't care that you can't understand that you can't understand that they take Islam before they take on politics. Then accept that some people want to live like that. And I think they have a right to do so. Islam has not to change. It has to stay in its own corner of the world, and nobody cares that in your head all of the things would work just fine if all of us just would be nicer to each other. I tell you what, if everybody starts to be nice to each other, every ideology starts to work. And then finally accept that Islam is not a race. You can change being Muslim. And this is an easy change. This is as easy as changing your favorite soccer club. You might get troubles with your father, but you can do it. Muslims can change into becoming something else, like an agnostic. Islam, on the other hand, cannot change. You can switch from being a soccer fan to becoming a baseball fan, but you can't expect that soccer and baseball merges because you like both, and therefore the two old versions disappear and you have something new that is way better and da-da-da-da-da. You can create something new, yes, but you would have to give it a different name, in this case soccer base or something like that. But the old versions won't disappear. And I would argue that someone who faces the stuff he doesn't like or he fears or have angst, be it snakes or spiders or Islam, has not a phobia, because it's not irrational anymore. Feeling Furcht in the eyes of a rattlesnake is perfectly sane. Feeling, I don't like Islam, okay? But I have reasons. And again, not a lot of beef with Muslims who want to become something else than Muslims, or than believing Muslims or Salafists or something like that. I would gladly interchange them for some Jew-hating neo-Nazis from over here. It's not racism. I don't care about race. I care about values, I care about rules, I care about laws, and I accept that there are different sets of rules, laws, cultures and so on around there. And I'm okay with that. I don't think that we all have to live by the same code. It's not angst. It's not even Furcht, because I think we can deal with that. It's the same feeling that I have against Nazism, against the idea of our Orwellian world, the same rejection I feel against Stalinism, or an unleashed Christianity. I have reasons, and these reasons are written in blood, written by Islam. And with the left, I think it's protection. I hear it often from people who don't know nothing about Islam, that no, you just say that because you don't know them and you have to get to know them and blah 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 blah. Then I tell them, okay, I read the Quran, I had hours of talks with moderate Muslims, with Salafists and so on. How much time did you spend talking to these guys? Have you read the Quran? And saying this, you have this strange look in the eyes, and they try to change the subject in the speed of light. They never had a talk to a Salafist, they never read the Quran. It's projection. They don't look, they don't care, they assume, and most of it, they hope. And they can't look, because they know that they can't stand their reality. And this is kind of sad. And if you don't take a look to this stuff, it's mostly because of your angst. For the stuff you might see there, that's the phobia, that's the Islamophobia, the real Islamophobia. Leftists need to believe that Islam is not a threat. It's like a guy who stands on a stool, the eye pressed together, and repeats himself, it's just a mouse, it's just a mouse. I heard from everybody, mice are not dangerous, mice are not dangerous, mice are harmless, it's just a mouse, calm down, breathe. Yeah, okay, it's just a mouse, there is no problem, everything is okay. And he calms down. The problem with this is, it's not a mouse standing down the stool. It's a crocodile, with a lot of blood on its mouth, ready to swallow you. I know the media tells you it's a mouse and it's not dangerous, but believe me, it's a crocodile. And don't fool yourself. If they take over, you will convert and start stoning little raped girls. Or they hang you, beside us.